This ancient clay tablet claims 8 kings ruled for 241,200 years before history even began. Not 8 dynasties, 8 individual rulers, each with a lifespan longer than all of recorded human history. If it was just fantasy, it should have appeared once in one forgotten story. But scribes copied this list onto multiple tablets over centuries, as if they were preserving a memory they refused to lose. And when you add up the numbers, the result is impossible. 241,200 years before a single brick of known history is laid. So either the ancient Sumerians were completely insane, or they were remembering something we no longer understand, a world that existed before ours. In this first episode of We Are the Seventh Civilization, we'll decode the Sumerian King List. We'll see how it mirrors the Bible and other flood legends, and we'll ask the question mainstream history never wants to touch. Are we really civilization number 7? To start this case file, we need to meet the most disturbing artifact in the ancient world, the Sumerian King List. On the surface, it looks simple. A clay prism covered in tiny wedge-shaped marks we call cuneiform. It was written in ancient Mesopotamia about 4,000 years ago, in a world where kings still traced their power back to the gods. Officially, it's a royal document, a neat list of cities, kings, and the lengths of their reigns. But hidden inside that neat list is a timeline that shatters everything we think we know about human history. Historians treat it like mythology, a kind of royal propaganda mixed with legend. But here's the problem. The King List wasn't hidden. It was copied and recopied, like something too important to lose. Different versions have been found in different cities across different centuries, yet they all agree on one thing. Before the flood, before normal history, there was another world, ruled by impossibly long-lived kings. Their names are strange to modern ears: Alulim, Alalgar, Enmenluana, Enmengalana. But what matters is not the names, it's the numbers written next to them. 28,800 years, 36,000 years, 43,200 years for a single king. If those numbers are even half true, then our version of history is not the first. We're latecomers, living on top of erased worlds. When you strip away the religion and focus only on structure, the Sumerian King List starts to look uncomfortably familiar. On one side, a line of pre-flood rulers with lifespans that sound insane. On the other, the Bible's list of patriarchs, also living for centuries. Both timelines agree on 3 things: long-lived rulers, a catastrophic flood, and a reset. In Genesis, humanity descends from Adam to Noah, then the world is wiped clean. In the Sumerian King List, kings descend from the first ruler, Alulim, until the text simply says, "Then the flood swept over." 2 cultures, 2 theologies, but nearly the same story shape. That's not an accident, that's a shared memory. So what about those impossible numbers? 28,000 years, 36,000 years, 43,000 years. Most historians shrug and say, mythic exaggeration. But the ancients were obsessed with cycles, not random big numbers. What if these years weren't years like ours, but a code for much larger cycles? Lunar calendars, planetary alignments, ages of the world. Some researchers notice that numbers like 43,200 map onto neat blocks of time when you convert them into days, months, or precession degrees. I'm not here to prove a formula. I'm here to ask why a 4,000-year-old tablet is screaming one idea. Before our version of history, there were earlier ages, earlier civilizations, ruled by beings the texts describe as more than human. In the Bible, they're mighty men of old. In Sumer, They're kings with reigns longer than empires. Different names, same archetype. And when the texts talk about them, the tone is always the same, awe mixed with a warning. Because right after the age of long-lived rulers comes the age of judgment, floods, fire, the sky itself turning violent. Call them myths if you want, but when myths from different cultures line up this precisely, we're not just dealing with fantasy, we're dealing with pattern. And if there was a pattern before the flood, if there were worlds before ours, then the King List isn't just a curiosity, it's a fragment of a much older timeline. In a moment, we'll take those impossible reigns and stack them the way the tablet does to see what kind of civilization it's really describing.
So let's stack the rulers exactly the way the Sumerian King List does, and see what kind of world it's really hinting at. First comes Alulim, reigning 28,800 years in the city of Eridu. Then Alalgar, 36,000 years, a second era, a second version of civilization layered on top of the first. After them, Enmenluana, 43,200 years, Enmengalana, Dumuzid, and more, 8 kings in total. Each reign isn't just a life, it's an age, a full version of the human story, with its own rise, peak, and decay. Add them together, and you don't get a few thousand years of forgotten history. You get 241,200 years of erased experiments. Think of them as civilizations 1 through 6, each one pushing the limits until something crosses a line. The texts never say exactly what they did, but the pattern is loud: forbidden knowledge, violence, corruption, then catastrophe. Floods in Mesopotamia, floods in the Bible, floods in India, Mesoamerica, China. Different languages, same reset button. After the waters recede, something new begins. Shorter lifespans, smaller stories, ordinary kings. That's where our textbooks finally start. If those earlier 6 versions were real, even in a distorted way, then we are not Civilization 1. We are Civilization VII, the survivors of survivors. And here's the part nobody in mainstream history wants to touch. Patterns don't stop just because we renamed the calendar. If previous civilizations rose, mastered their world, broke something sacred, and were reset, what makes us think we're different? We've stretched our lifespans, reached into the sky, played with the code of life itself. These are the exact pressure points that triggered judgment in the old stories. I'm not saying a flood is coming tomorrow. I'm saying the ancients believed civilization runs on cycles, and every cycle has a breaking point. If we really are the 7th civilization, then we're standing at the top of a very tall graveyard of forgotten worlds. The question isn't, did they exist? The question is, will we repeat their ending or break the pattern? Tell me in the comments, are we living as Civilization VII on borrowed time, or are these just myths dressed up as warnings? In the next episode, we'll go inside the very first world on that tablet, Civilization I.